to start a talk thanking the event organizers for the invitation to speak. So I would like to do that. I thank you, CDI and Eileen, for this honor and this lovely introduction. And to Michael and Sarah for all of the coordination that brought us here today. However, I would also like to thank each of you, right, the graduates of these coaching programs. You have made an investment, as people have remarked, and given of your time, your money, your energy, your heart and mind to the endeavor of coaching and development. And I want to thank you for that. I recognize that each of you had your own reasons for this undertaking. So your motives are individual, but your impact will be global and cumulative. The reason I do what I do in terms of coaching and leadership and development, and how I choose to go about doing it, is all driven from a singular desire to support the courageous souls in this world who have raised their hands as willing participants in leadership. I admire them. Leadership is not an easy road. So if they are willing to take this on, I want to ensure that they do not feel alone on that journey. And I personally want to be part of making sure the leaders that we promote are leading for passion and purpose and not for power. I believe that the world we are living in today is calling and at times crying for a different type of leadership, away from command and control and more towards empathize and empower. To lean on the research of Dr. Brené Brown, who you heard, whose work I use daily. Today's world needs more vulnerable leaders. And by vulnerable, I don't mean weak. In fact, I mean just the opposite. I'm speaking about a type of courageous leadership where leaders listen to understand versus listening to respond or refute. And where they lean into hard conversations versus ignoring or avoiding them. Where they value being a learner over being a knower. And where they're willing to speak up about unethical or unproductive behaviors versus just going along to get along. And where leaders are willing to do the personal growth work necessary so that they can lead from heart and not from hurt. This type of leadership is vulnerable. Not because they are weak, but because they are willing to embrace risk and uncertainty instead of armoring themselves against it. Just imagine the shift that we could see in the world if each of us were living and leading from such authenticity. What a force of change we could be in this world. That's where you all come in. You have joined the ranks of what my like-minded colleagues and I like to call the army of angels, those setting out to dedicate part of their lives towards this vision. So as you heard, my first leadership role was at the age of 16. And my coach, mentor, and eventual friend on that journey was a man named George Parks, and I speak his name proudly. He was a musician, a tuba player to be exact. And I had been selected to be the conductor of my high school marching band. And if you've never encountered this sport, and I put sport in quotations intentionally, it's when hundreds of musicians dress up in these scratchy polyester uniforms, put these crazy big hats on their heads with silly plumes and feathers sticking out of them. And they play music while marching around an American-sized football field, making intricate formations. These bands have official paid directors to lead them, but they always elect the conductors of the ensemble from amongst the student performers. And these conductors are called the drum majors, even though they don't play drums. But as a drum major, you are in a leadership position and you are leading your peers, which is a very vulnerable transition to make. Now, drum majors conduct the music, they run the rehearsals, they teach people how to march and they have to be in control, they have to command from a distance because they have to move hundreds of people in block formation around a field. Now, my mentor and dear friend George ran a summer leadership academy to train us drum majors in all of the various skills we would need for this role. And during his skill building camp, there was always a module that George called the attitude session. Now, as students, we didn't know it was called that, but I later learned it when I became a member of staff at the camp. And the purpose of the attitude session was to help us teenage leaders understand that leadership was about letting go of ego. And all of our lessons were focused on a sort of servant leadership. And this was well before there was even such a thing or a term as servant leadership. Well, with George, the attitude session always started the same way. And I invite you right now to participate in this tradition. I want you to close your eyes. With your eyes closed, think of the people who made a difference in your life. Who were your mentors, your guides? Who helped define what leadership meant for you? In your mind, quietly speak their names. See their faces. Recall their voices. And remember their words. What did they do that was special? When and how did they show up and support you? Now open your eyes to the realization that there will be a day when others will close their eyes, and when they think of those who have guided them, they will see you. You will be the face and the name that they recall. You will be the person who influenced them, guided them, encouraged them, developed them, and stood alongside them as they make their steps into something brave and new and vulnerable. I close my eyes and I think of George. I think of Marion, one of the very best managers I ever had. And I think of Paul, my first coach, who gently and compassionately, yet determinedly, shook me awake to my life. I am forever changed by them. Now, sadly, George left this world too soon. He's no longer physically with us. But I can tell you that there are tens of thousands of people in this world who see his face when they close their eyes. And like me, they are forever grateful for his influence. The lives all of you are about to touch with your new skills are precious and numerous. They each long for something in this world, and the world is longing for them. But they won't be able to step fully into their potential if you don't take those steps first for yourself. So in service of helping you become that person, the person who others see when they close their eyes, I have 3 key learnings I want to pass on to you as you embark on your coaching. The first lesson, always wear a white belt, which is to say, always have a beginner's mind, be willing to learn, continue to get coaching yourself, stretch yourself to grow as an individual and as a coach. Do not settle simply for gaining new knowledge and coaching tools. Tempt yourself to continuously evolve as a person and as a citizen of this world. Perhaps you can see that there's a white belt in a frame on the wall behind me. To most, it probably looks really strange to frame a white beginner's belt. It hardly seems like an accomplishment in comparison to framing maybe a master's black belt. However, the traditional martial arts master never earned a black belt. They had one belt, their white belt, and it simply became black over time from so much practice on the mat. So when I graduated my coaching program, we were given a certificate of completion and this white belt. The certificate is in a drawer in my desk. The white belt is in a frame on my wall as a reminder to me and my clients to always be in growth. And so I pass that on to you. Always wear a white belt. My second lesson to you. Be authentic with your gifts. For years, I hid behind a facade of corporate business professionalism. My website was neutral. It had a sailboat on it, with all of the forward journey and sailing metaphors I could think of. It had designed in corporate blue, and it had all the corporate buzzwords about leveraging synergies across the enterprise and being laser focused and working with an agile mindset. It said everything and nothing at all. It was not special, and most important, it was not me. There was none of my personality there. I finally remade my website. I took my own photos, for better or for worse, as a form of creativity. I took pictures of things around my own office. I did it in soft, muted colors that represented me. The content spoke of my wholehearted work, mindfulness, courage, and compassion. My core values of authenticity, integrity, and connection are a banner on the front page. And my bio does not list my degrees or accomplishments, but rather tells my white belt story. I got all sorts of comments on that site. Some loved it and wanted to know the name of the firm who designed it. But also I received many criticisms of it. It's too soft. It's very emotional. It's not professional. It doesn't speak to the corporate client. Well, within a year of relaunching this more authentic version of me, both on my website and in the bios and profiles I sent into people, I was contacted by a multinational company here that I had previously not dared to work with. And they reached out to me specifically because of the type of work I do. That same year, a member of that organization's executive committee invited me to work with him as his coach and cited my profile and the mindfulness components I brought as the reason for my being selected. Another organization here told me that my profile was the only one to mention authenticity and that coaching clients were really resonating and craving that. I don't share this to brag. I share this because I finally felt that people were selecting me for who I was, and that was immensely validating. And now I know when people opt to work with me, I never have to pretend to be anyone or anything else. Why am I telling you this? Because you will be tempted, I still am each day, to shape and shift and contort and convince yourself and others that you are who they want or need you to be. Do not do that. The world does not need that. Do not sell yourself for less. You offer your greatest value when you promote yourself and your services as the truest version of you. This world needs you to be you so you can draw out the same in others. The clients you are meant to help will come to you. Believe that. My third and final message to you takes us back to this comment around vulnerability. My third lesson is do not stand behind the door. By this, I mean be brave in your coaching. Step into the metaphorical arena. To circle back to the research on courage from Brené Brown that I mentioned before, she uses the metaphor of the arena. An arena is anywhere in our lives where we are called upon to show up, be seen, and be brave. In coaching terms, this is the place well outside of the comfort zone. You all right now are entering an arena. Whether you're daring to set up a new coaching business or transitioning your work to full-time coaching, or maybe you're going to take the coaching approaches into your current management roles. All of them are arenas. There might also come a time when you need to be more daring as a coach, to try a new approach, to ask different questions, or to be more challenging to your clients in service of them. All of these are arena moments. These moments come with equal parts excitement and fear. Do not let that fear stop you. The fear is not a sign that you are weak or unready. It is a sign that you are doing something brave. That is what vulnerability feels and looks like. It feels like fear, but it looks like bravery. That is what it feels like to enter the arena. Brave and afraid at the exact same time. And let that be your mantra as you go forward. Brave and afraid at the exact same time. And may you choose courage over comfort each moment. This is the message our clients need to hear, and the message we need to own for ourselves so that we can be daring in our coaching endeavors. Our clients are depending on this. To bravely enter our arenas, we need to prepare ourselves. Do not enter your arenas blindly. You must anticipate the various seats in your arenas. There will be, in your arena, critics, usually sitting way up high, up in the cheap seats, the people who don't pay enough money to come there and really see you. They're just sort of waiting to see if you mess up. They may not understand you or like or understand what you're doing. From them, you may get criticism, judgment, comparison, or messages that make you feel like you are not good enough. And know that you may even start to catch yourself sitting in your own critic's seat up there. And when you catch yourself there, my advice to you is to get up and move your seat. Because sitting down front, there are also supporters. Those who are there to see you succeed or to catch you and lift you up if you fall. They will cheer you on and offer you the empathy you need to push through the tough times. This is one very important seat. You see it in the bottom corner here that only you can sit in, and that's the seat of self-compassion. My friends, be kind to yourself as you take risks and face uncertainty. Treat yourself and talk to yourself as you would treat and talk to someone you love. Your job when you enter the coaching arena is not to win over the critics, but rather to be true to who you are and lean on your supporters. They may be your family, your friends, colleagues, or perhaps those whose special faces you saw when you closed your eyes earlier. And although you must never enter the arena alone, there is one thing you must always take with you. And that's the clarity of your core values. Your values will guide you. They will help you make decisions. And when you feel that things are hard and times feel dark, your values light the way. They remind you of why you were being brave and vulnerable in the first place. Know them and carry them with you. Now, this arena metaphor comes from a speech by former US President Theodore Roosevelt. And I want to share an excerpt from that speech now. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man and woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he or she fails, at least fails while daring greatly. Right now, my friends, you are at the door of the arena. Imagine yourselves now walking down the cool, dark stone hallway that leads to the arena. And at the end of that hallway is this door. And you start to see the light shining through the cracks along the sides of that door. You know what you are called to do. You know what stands on the other side of this door. It's a leap of faith, and there will be some thrills, some joys, and some fear. The critics and the supporters await you both. But the choice to walk through that door is yours. I am asking each of you right now, do not stay behind that door. The world awaits you and the world needs you. You have my best wishes and I will forever be sitting in your supporters section. I thank you.